Hey guys, welcome back to Creative Play with Ditto. Today's story experience is Shape-Shifting Shenanigans, led by Mathieu. So today might be a little different. First of all, I'm going to need you guys to clear a space in a quiet room somewhere. It doesn't have to be a lot of space, just enough to sit comfortably, maybe in a chair or on a sofa, wherever is comfortable. So, now that you've cleared some space, let's take a moment to just focus on our breathing. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, as you continue to relax and breathe in and out, I want you to think about some of the ways that your body could change shape or size. Maybe you might like to be an insect, or a bird, or a fish in the sea. These are all things that we might get to explore during our adventure today. But for now, as you breathe in and out, I want you to think about becoming very small. Every time you breathe out, you shrink a little. You become smaller and smaller as your breathing continues. Perhaps if you're sitting on the floor, you might realize that the carpet under your feet becomes bigger and bigger until you're so little that you're buried deep within your own carpet. Now take a moment to focus on what the carpet underneath you feels like. If you're sat on a wooden floor or any other surface, it doesn't matter. The point is just to take a moment to really observe the textures underneath your fingers. What does it feel like when you touch it very lightly? Or when you rub it very vigorously? Does it feel nice? Itchy? Or you might start to walk around. What does it feel like to walk through the carpet? What colours can you see? Do you like those colours? Or do you wish they were different colours? Now remember, at this point we're imagining we're very, very small. So that when you're standing up, you're not even as tall as the fluff on the carpet. What does it feel like to walk around? To feel the carpet against you, rubbing against your shoulders? Or maybe you get your hair tangled in it. What does it feel like? Do you like it? At any point, you can stop to talk to somebody else and see if they like it. What can you see from your position on the floor? I'd like you to see if you can find any windows, or maybe a door. What would it feel like to walk up to the door and rather than open it, walk under the gap between the door and the floor? Is that fun? Well, I think we've spent enough time in your room, and I think we're ready for our adventure to begin. Now, it's very important to remember that this is an imagination exercise, and that you shouldn't do anything dangerous or that might hurt you in any way. This is something that you can do with your eyes closed or your eyes open. It's completely up to you. But just take care of yourself. From where you are, I want you to go out of a window. What do you have to do to get out your window when you're very small? Do you have to climb up the wall? Or can you hop from a bed or a sofa onto the windowsill? Now, when you're stood on your windowsill, what does it look like to look out the window? Even if you're on the first floor, being so little must make it look very high up. Well, we're going to go outside. So very carefully, all in your imagination, remember, I want you to climb down the outside of the wall. What does it feel like to hold on to those rough bricks? To gently tiptoe down like you're scaling down a mountain. It might be very exciting. It might be a little bit scary. But as long as we keep going, eventually you'll find that you put your feet back on the floor. How is this different from the floor in your house? Is it muddy, or is it dry and dusty? Is there lots of grass, or is it flowers? I think we've landed in some dry mud. Now, if we were our normal size, we could reach down and pick some of the mud up, crumble it in between our fingers. We know what that feels like, don't we? Well, is it different now we're very small? Do you pick up one tiny piece of dirt but with both hands and hold it high above your head like a little boulder? What does it feel like to crumble this now that you're so small? Well, this is just the beginning. So, from here, where are we going to go? Perhaps we should walk into a garden. What would it feel like to walk through grass that was as tall as trees? What would the breeze do to us? Maybe, as you're walking, you suddenly start to feel like you're going to be blown away. What's that like? Find something to hold on to. Maybe one of those blades of grass. As you hold on very tight to it, it shakes and the wind blows you, and maybe even your feet come off the floor. Maybe you're holding on to that blade of grass, flying like a flag in the breeze. How fun. Well, once the wind has stopped, we'll keep going with our adventure. Where shall we go next? Perhaps we should go and see some flowers. What kind of flowers can you see from on the floor in your imagination? What colours are they? They don't have to be real flowers. I'm thinking of a purple flower with an orange stem and big fluffy balls attached to the top of it. Now, I know we don't have things like that in real life, but for today, that's okay. What would it feel like to climb this fluffy flower? What does it feel like? Is it like holding the carpet again, or is this different? What can you see perched on top of the flower? How far can you see? Maybe the fence at the back of the garden seems like it's miles and miles away. Now that you're stood comfortably on top of your imaginary flower, I want you to think about the breeze again. Maybe this time it's even stronger. Maybe you hold on to one of those fluffy balls on the flower, but this time the flower takes off. It's blown away like a daffodil in the breeze, and you go with it. At first, you see the ground recede away from you, and then your house, and before you know it, you're miles above the floor, floating along. It's not scary though, I hope. What can you see from here? Can you see rivers and lakes? Or do you see cities and buildings? Now that you're floating on your flower high in the sky, what could we do here? Maybe you want to stand up in your room and see what it feels like to pretend to surf on this little flower. Maybe you bounce around or move around your room. Be careful, but have fun. Now, from atop your flower, I want you to look left and right and see whether you can see any birds or bugs. What can you see in the sky? Are they flying close to you or are they far away? Let's try and make the breeze take us towards them. I can see a flock of seagulls flying ahead of me. So, as I hold the flower tight, I move a little closer to them, until eventually I'm floating along just next to the birds. And I hope you are too. From here, let's think about what it would feel like to be a bird. I know we're not birds really, but let's just imagine for a moment. What if, instead of arms, we had wings? What if instead of the clothes on our back, we had feathers? And what if instead of a tongue and teeth, we had a sharp, snapping beak? As you sit atop your flower, think about what it would feel like to become a bird. Does your breathing change? Do you start to flap your arms like wings? Maybe you start to crouch over in a way that makes you feel like a bird. What's that like? Maybe you might hop around the room, pretending to be a bird for a little while. Now that you've comfortably transformed into a bird, maybe you'd like to spend a little bit of time flying around. What does it feel like to have the wind passing through your feathers? What can you see as a bird? Do birds see better than people? I think they might. Now, from here, perhaps you've flown all the way off land, and now you're above the sea. How is this different, looking down at the ocean waves moving beneath you? How do you feel being above the sea as opposed to above the land? I think that maybe we would like to dive down towards the water. So, having left your flower behind and flying comfortably through the sky, what if you were to tuck your wings next to you and dive down towards the water? How fast are you going as you dive towards the water? The waves get closer and they seem bigger and bigger. But perhaps you could open your wings and fly away, glide back up towards the sky. But today I don't think we will. Today, I think we'd like to go for a swim as well. So perhaps as we dive towards the water, getting faster and faster, our eyes might start to stream from the wind, or maybe not. As we approach the water, we might close our eyes, take a deep breath, and splash underwater. What does it feel like being underwater? How does it feel, the water moving through your wings and your feathers? Now that we're underwater, maybe we realize that we don't need to come up for air. Maybe we feel our feet stitching themselves together and becoming a tail fin. Maybe our wings slide down and backwards. They lose their feathers and they become pectoral fins. That's the proper name for fins that come off the side of a fish's body. What else do we think might change about us if we were transforming into a fish? Maybe your beak turns into a mouth again, but this time a fish's mouth. And maybe your eyes move from the front of your head facing forward round to the sides, so that you can see much more of your surroundings than you could as a bird. Maybe your lungs turn into gills. What does it feel like to breathe the water? Now that you've finished transforming into a fish, maybe you'd like to see what it feels like to swim around. Maybe you want to lie on the floor to see, or maybe you want to stand up. Do you enjoy being a fish, or did you like being a bird more? Well, now that you're a fish and you're swimming in the shallow waters of the ocean, what does it feel like to dive deeper? How far down can you swim while you can still see? Does it eventually become very dark? What does it feel like, swimming in the darkness? As you go deeper and deeper, can you feel the pressure of the water around you? Does it squeeze your body tighter and tighter as you swim down lower and lower? As you're swimming, do you see any other fishes? What kind of animals do you see? Maybe you see sharks or squids, or maybe you see a blue whale, the biggest animal to have ever lived. How exciting. After you're finished following the blue whale around for a little while, maybe in the distance you see a school of fish that look just like you. Maybe you swim up to them and say hello. What's it like to say hello as a fish? Do they blow bubbles at each other? Or do they talk like us? I'll leave that up to you to decide. Well, maybe after introducing yourselves, you want to follow the fish around, swim together as part of the school. Or maybe you want to play on your own. Remember, if you're doing this with anybody else, at any point you can stop and talk to them and see if they're enjoying it. Share your thoughts and feelings about what you're doing. Here, I would just like you to take another moment to focus in on your breath again, to see how you feel now that we've been having this adventure together. Take one breath in and breathe out. I think we've adventured far enough away from home today, so now it's time to start heading back. Find yourself swimming up towards the surface of the ocean again. But this time, instead of taking off as a bird again, we'll swim towards the shore. We'll keep swimming until the land rises up, until it's touching our fish belly beneath us. But here, rather than turning round and swimming back towards the ocean like most fish would, I think instead we might turn into a crab. Our fins and tails might split open again, but rather than becoming wings or fingers, they're going to turn into 6 little arms, 2 of which have pincers at the end, so that you could pick things up and move them around. Your eyes move again from the side of your head back to the front, and you become very flat and squashed close to the ground and very short. Do you like feeling like a crab? What's it like to have 6 legs instead of 2 fins? Maybe you move out of the shallow water and onto the beach. But I'm sure you guys know, crabs don't walk forwards, they walk sideways. So, maybe you want to take a minute to move round your room, pretending to be a crab. What does that feel like? Do you crouch down low, with your legs wide and your arms up next to you, and your fingers acting like little pincers? What's it like? What can you pick up with your pincer fingers? What's it like to hop around? Well, let's make our way up the beach, where here we might see a dog walking. And I think again, we're going to change into a dog now. Our smooth crab-like body is going to sprout fur. We're going to get a long nose and big teeth, and you might even start to like barking. Well, from here, I think we start to run home as fast as we can on all 4s. Can you guys run on all 4s? What does that feel like? Is it different from being a crab? As you run back towards your house, I want you to slowly remember what it's like to be a person. So that by the time you get to your front door and you scratch against it, and somebody opens the door and you trot back into your house. No one minds that you're a dog at the moment. Everyone still recognises you, and some of them might even give you a pat on the head or a scratch behind the ear. Maybe, as a dog, you stroll back into the room where you found yourself at the beginning of our adventure. Perhaps you sit your little doggy bum on the floor, and again you take a couple of deep breaths, and you find yourself slowly returning to your normal body, with human arms and human legs, and human eyes and a human head. Maybe now you want to open your eyes if they've been closed. Take a moment to look around you and think about what an amazing story and adventure we went on, all inside our own heads. I hope you guys have had fun today. That was Shape-Shifting Shenanigans, led by Mathieu. If you'd like to find out more about imaginary adventures, you can find more on our YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope we see you again soon. Bye-bye.